Welcome back to Business English with Martin. Today we are reaching the final stretch of our series of the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. And this episode will go through laws 16 to 22. These are powerful concepts that will complete our journey through this classic marketing book. Whether you are a business student, a marketing enthusiast, or just looking to improve your English while learning valuable ideas, this episode is for you. Let's get started. Now we are going to start with the Law 16, the Law of Singularity. Okay, according to the book, the Law of Singularity says that success doesn't come from the accumulation of efforts, but from a single idea or move that breaks the mold. That move shouldn't be a copy, but something unique, unexpected, and effective. That move. Okay? And instead of competing with your entire arsenal, look for the market's weak point and focus on attracting it. Okay? The second point that the book mentioned is the avoid imitation. Okay? So this law says that companies sometimes try to imitate market leaders, but it doesn't always work. Success doesn't come from trying harder. Brands must find their own way, not follow the same old tactics. Uh, as an example of this, we have General Motors try to do the same thing as its competitors, but its models look too similar and that damage its image. And consumers couldn't differentiate between a Chevrolet and Pontiac, which weakens the brand. The third point is the power play. Okay, has in war. In marketing, there is only one place or vulnerable spot. A spot where you can win. Brands must focus on that specific area to gain an advantage. Okay, I will give you an example of this. Is Toyota that attacked the small car market, while brands like BMW positioned and has a luxury of options instead of fighting on all fronts. Okay, the BMW focus on what they could do best. That is the luxury cars. Okay, so this marketing approach is demonstrated by the law of singularity that remind us that sometimes less is more. Instead of doing everything halfway, find a strength and focus on it, and that can be the key success. Okay, so another example is one of the this is the ice cream company is called Delicia. So what makes unique Delicia is that this company instead of diversifying too much, Delicia established as a leader in quality ice creams with local flavors. And although it also produces dairy products and yogurts, but its strength in the minds of Bolivian consumers lies on ice creams. Lies means radica. Okay, and as a result of this is that um, that is hard for another national competitor to take its place because they have the place of traditional Bolivian ice cream brand. Okay, we will go to the next law, that is the law of unpredictability. Okay, it law says that there is no perfect plan. Market conditions can change at any moment. Competitive reactions, new technologies, or unexpected crises can derail any strategy. Derail means descarrilar. Okay, and And this law says that successful marketing doesn't predict, it adapts. And has an important point. It's better to bet on trends and be ready to adjust course. An example of this is IBM that developed a plan called Office Vision that connect all PCs with large computers, but it failed because it failed to anticipate competition from Microsoft and other company that is called Microsystems. Then we have the other point, important point I mentioned, this law that is competition and unforeseen trends. Unforeseen trends means tendencias imprevistas. Okay. Competitive reactions, right? It says that are unpredictable and can be a leading cause of marketing failure. An example of this is that General Motors that was overtaken by other brands in the small car market because they failed to react. And we have the other point that is that many mistakes come from an obsession with short-term quarterly profits and a failure to think in long term. It's very common to see this. And they have the other that is that take advantage of trends. Okay, trends are useful if identified early, but they shouldn't be extrapolated too far. Major changes can be unpredictable. And we have the other point that is the organizational flexibility. That companies must be flexible and change quickly in response to new trends and challenges. And the other point is the difficulty to predict the future with certainty. But companies can bet on trends and adapt to them. An example of these 4 points that I said, that is the first one, that is the successful marketing doesn't predict, it adapts. And the other that I said that competition reactions are unpredictable and can be a little cause of marketing failure. The third way that many mistakes come from an obsession with short-term profits and a failure to think long-term, and they take advantage of trends and organizational flexibility, and the difficulty to predict the future with certainty. And as an example of this, we have Netflix, right? Netflix is a risky but visionary bet. It starts at first, it only rented DVDs by mail, right? But then it bet that streaming will be the future. When no one was sure, it abandoned the physical model and gambled on a nascent trend. Gamble means se arriesgó. A nascent trend, una tendencia naciente. Well, and as a result of this is that the global leadership, it became the leadership, right? But even today, it must remain flexible. Netflix, in the face of new threats like Disney Plus and fragmented consumptions. And other example of this is Zoom. It capitalizing on an unexpected trend. Zoom in this case, before pandemic, it was just another app. Has an unexpected event like COVID-19 triggered the need for mass video call. Triggered mean motivó. Okay, and the reactions, right? It adapted quickly, scaled its infrastructure, and became the global benchmark. Okay, as a benchmark, in other words, we said punto de referencia. Okay, and they some has a summary, right? They didn't predict it, but they react quickly and bet everything on an unexpected trend. So this law In conclusion, we say that we can predict the future, but we can prepare for the unpredictable and be flexible to adapt to changes. Companies that focus on trends and change quickly are more likely to survive and thrive. Thrive means prosper. Okay, the next law we have the law of success. Okay, and this law of success said that when a brand or company is successful, its leaders tend to think that success comes from their genius or superiority. And as a result, they begin to listen less to the market and more to their own ego. Mm, and this leads them to make decisions based on what they believe is right and not on what the customer actually wants or perceive. Okay, of these important points, we can say that ego, right? Ego can be the enemy of success in most of the cases. And ego can make people feel invincible after a success, leading them to make impulsive decisions, such as line extensions that we mentioned in other laws. That is the placing the brand name in all products. This can lead to long-term failures. As we also said in previous laws that about Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump tried to expand his brand to other products, but the connection between his name and the success of his early projects wasn't as direct as he thought. Mhm. And other important point of this law is that consumer perception is everything. Marketing is about what the customer perceive, perceives, and not what you think is the best product or idea. Uh, has an example of this is what the book also mentions is the company like Sears and General Motors. They say that they lost relevance by ignoring customers' opinion and their evolving needs. Okay, and we don't have to let that inflated success blind us. And also an important point of this book that this law that said that size isn't everything because they said that large companies can lose touch with the front lines. It in line means customers. Okay, limiting their growth, small businesses being closer to their customers, and as a result, they can adapt more quickly. Okay, because we have some large corporations that delegate marketing to executives, and smaller companies has have more direct view of what customers want. And for this, we can say that delegating marketing is a mistake because marketing is key to success of any company of any company and shouldn't be delegated to someone without a complete vision. Executives should be directly involved in the marketing strategy because if a CEO delegates marketing without understanding it, it could be missing a crucial part of their connection with their audience. Okay. Um, Also, when people succeed, they often replace their own judgment with that the market wants. As we mentioned again, Donald Trump and Robert Maxwell became blinded by their success, which led to poor decisions in expanding their brands. As we said, Trump's use of his name for multiple products and led to failure. Of this, we talked that a brand doesn't get famous because of its name. It's the marketing strategies and customer perception that matters. A strong ego like a Donald Trump can blind companies from seeing the real path of success. Okay, in that case, Donald Trump shouldn't have used of his name for many of his products. Okay, he violate the law of the line of extension. And we have the trap of brand extension. Okay, so brand extension happens when a company uses its name to sell unrelated products, assuming it will bring the success. This often leads to failure in the long run. And we have the importance of objective thinking. Okay, objective thinking is crucial in marketing. Successful marketers think like their customers, right? Not based on their own egos. They don't impose their vision, but align with the customer's perceptions. Okay, and it's important, right, to be connected. Um, as we said again, big executives must stay connected with the market and not delegate everything. They should spend less time in meetings and more time understanding the market directly. Okay, as we said, small companies can grow faster because and often, yes, often they grow faster because they are closer to the front line, that is the customers. While big companies can be hindered by their success and egos. Hindered means entorpecidos. Okay, then we have the practical tips. Okay, has a as CEOs, right? They should see things for themselves. As they and we have an important saying that is better to see once than hear 100 times. Okay, an example of this we have the international uh, company, the is Colgate, right? It's like Colgate that happened once that they prepare meals. And Colgate launched a line of frozen meals. And as a result, customers didn't associate the brand with food. And this was a failure due to the incongruence in brand perception. And talking about other companies like Pill and Dinner, right, which is strong in dairy products, try to launch cell phones or clothing, and it will be a brand clash in this case. And because people don't associate it with technology or fashion. Clash means choque. Okay, and these points emphasize the importance of listening to the market and avoiding confidence in marketing strategy. And I have another strategy that is Kodak. Okay, Kodak they invented the digital camera. They were the first, but they didn't exploit it for fear of losing their film market. And as a result of this, they disappeared due to their failure to adapt. Then, uh, as we said, an important thing is the size, right? The size is not synonymous with success. We have, for example, Blackster. Okay, Blackster was a huge and dominant, but it failed to adapt to the streaming model, and Netflix destroyed it. And it's like the same happened. It's like another example is like Pharmacore. If Pharmacore tried to uh, even that Pharmacore is large, many people still shop at neighborhoods pharmacies because they know the pharmacist and receive better personalized service. Right, and proximity and agility can overcome size. Okay, so many entrepreneurs, right? They can have success if they personally oversee the customer's experience, respond to messages, and monitor quality, they can achieve better loyalty than large companies with a despersonalized service. So, two practical lessons of this law says that we have to be humble in the market. We don't have to think that our brand can sell anything. We don't we we don't have to distance ourselves from our customers, and we don't have to ignore trends, and we don't have to delegate our without a clear vision. And we have to stay focused on what our customers truly values. And quickly, we have to adapt to new trends. And these are key elements to maintaining long-term success. And has an important thing to say again that we don't have to lose the touch with the market and or delegate key tasks like marketing. Then we have the law of failure. Okay, the law of failure emphasizes that the importance of recognizing and learning from mistakes in marketing rather than clinging to fail strategies. Clinging means aferrarse. Okay, this law suggests that we have to admit mistakes and adapting is crucial to business success. Okay, examples of this we have the Coca-Cola and the new Coke. Okay, in the 80s, Coca-Cola launched the new Coke and reformulated versions of its classic soft drink. And consumer backlash was immediate. Consumer backlash means reacción del consumidor, forcing the company to reverse the change and return to the original formula. And Coca-Cola, in its attempt to improve a successful product, resulted in millions of dollars in losses and damage to the brand's reputation. The same happened with Pepsi and the number cup contest. It was in the year 1992 when Pepsi held a contest in the Philippines where consumers could win prizes by finding cups with specific numbers. Due to an error, uh, the winning number that was in that time 349 appeared in 800,000 bottles, and this led to thousands of complaints and riots, resulting in significant losses and a blow to the brand's image. Blow means golpe. Okay, the lessons that we can learn of this is that we have to quickly identify and admit mistakes, uh, allow us for adjusting strategies before they cause major damage. Okay, and we have to fostering right an environment where mistakes are seen as learning opportunities that facilitates innovation and continuous improvement about this. So we have to create an open organizational culture to avoid this type of mistakes. And we have to listening to and adapting to customer needs and expectations is essential to avoiding costly deviations. Okay, by integrating these practices, the companies, right, in general, can transform failures into opportunities, strengthening their market position and building a stronger relationship with their customers. Um, yes, and the lack of control and a lack of rapid response to errors can turn into a disaster. And as we said in other laws, that is the same here, apply here. The same is that the desire to grow can lead to you to abandon what makes you unique. Okay, it happened many times, And diversifying without a clarity can also dilute your brand. And we have to recognize, right, this and return to the original approach is in most of the cases is key to maintain customer engagement. Okay, and has lessons of this, right? We have to recognize mistakes quickly. Waiting only makes them worse. We don't have to fear failure. It's part of innovating. The serious thing is denying it. Okay, and we have to listen to the customer. Sometimes the market has a wiser perception than your plan, and foster an open culture. If employees are afraid to admit mistakes, your company won't learn. And we have to be humble uh, because past success doesn't make you infallible. And we have the law of the sensationalist note. Okay, the definition of this law says that in a world overwhelmed by information, only bold, dramatic, and simple messages breaks through. Bold means audace, and simple messages break through means mensaje innovador. Okay, uh, it says that the marketing should read like a clear, emotional, and impossible to ignore. Okay, the law of sensationalist note creates a lot of hype, really, because when a company is doing well, it doesn't need publicity, but when it's struggling, it turns to the press. Okay, it's what happened with the new Coke. Was heavily promoted, but it failed, proving that all the hype didn't lead to success. Okay, and another point of this is the Steve Jobs. Okay, because the media in general is easily impressed. Because young, especially young journalists, tend to focus more on what other say rather than their own research. Example of this is Next, that was founded uh, of it was founded by Steve Jobs, received a lot of attention, but was not successful. Okay, and another point, important point that the book mentions is that we have to look for the small, insignificant stories because big changes usually start with the small stories. And at the end of the newspaper, not on to the front page. To explain this is like the personal computers, okay, like and then fax machines didn't take off until years after their launch. And the other point says in the revolution he mentioned that happened quickly, okay, and we have not always, right, no, not always, but we have the true success of Japanese cars like Toyota. In the beginning was unanticipated, but and initially it met with criticisms. And in general, right, like happen in many cases, the overhyped products often fail. We have the sensationalist products like the video phone or prefabricated homes often fail to live up to expectations. Okay, they sound exciting, but the market doesn't always respond as expected. Live up to means estar a la altura. Okay, and the media tends to sensationalize new trends or products. Okay, they create a huge buzz and often doesn't lead to success. Buzz could we could use like llamado or circular. Okay, and the true innovations, in most of the cases, often emerge quickly and unexpectedly. without the dramatic coverage that the media enjoys. Okay. An international example of this as a game to mention is the new Coke. Coke received tons of publicity, but it failed miserably. The company thought promotions would solve everything, but it didn't. And lesson has a lesson we have advertising doesn't save a bad product. If the public doesn't want it, no headline will change that. And we have the next point that this the press is easily impressed. Okay, like a game to mention about Steve Jobs that is next receive a lot of media attention, but it never have a real impact on the market. And a lot of media buzz doesn't guarantee relevance. Journalists can be swayed by names, not substance. Swayed means influenciados. Okay, and we have examples, other examples to understand this more. We have the silent boom of delivery apps. Okay, in Bolivia we have, for example, when Pedidos Ya and Yang were arrived in Bolivia, they weren't greeted with big headlines. At first, they were seen as an important fad. Fad means moda. Okay, and as a result, over time and especially during the pandemic, these apps revolutionized consumptions, and especially in cities like Santa Cruz, La Paz, and Cochabamba. Okay, everyone was talking about supermarkets or retail, and the digital revolution in consumption came from an app in your pocket. Little press and big impact. Okay, so in conclusion, into this law, we don't have to be fooled by the hype. Often, true innovations arrive quickly. If you want to bet on a trend, look at the small signs, not the headlines. As a creator, entrepreneurs, or investors, what we say uh, doesn't sound strong today could be the strongest tomorrow. Okay, and the next we have the law of acceleration. Okay, a fad. It said, okay, this law says that a fad is a short life phenomenon that rises quickly and falls just as fast. And in contrast, a trend is a slower, more sustained movement of change over time. Okay, so and it says that long-lasting marketing is based on identifying and leveraging real trends, not riding the wave of temporary fads. If a company builds its strategy on a fad, it may achieve temporary success, but not in the long term. Okay, so this is it says that, for example, a fad. Okay, a fad is like a wave; it rises and falls quickly. We have as an example the fashion for short skirts or white lapel jackets in a specific year, or trend. Okay, it's like the tide. Okay, the tide, la corriente, almost invisible but with long-term power. Example: we have the Barbie doll. Okay, which has lasted for decades. And the book mentioned that the fads are not sustainable. Okay, fads in general are profitable in the short term, but they don't last. And companies often act as if they are trends, which can, in most of the cases, lead to bankruptcy. Okay. And also, very related with this law is that we don't have to overexpose success. Okay. Successful companies and brands like Elvis Presley or Barbie, they stay relevant because they didn't saturate the market. Elvis, for example, limited his performance to maintain mystery and demand. Okay? Um, um, as a business, okay, we have to avoid fads. Okay? Um, because there are business that grows rapidly. It's like they are seems to be a fad. It's best to rein it in so, but it doesn't lose its long term appeal. Okay, because excessive fats quickly fade, like the Ninja Turtle, which lost its popularity when everyone had one. Okay, then we have the key is long term trends. Again, to rein in to rein it in so means controlarlo. Okay, the next we have the okay the point that I say that the key is long term trends. Okay, so it says that the most profitable marketing doesn't seek quick success, but rather they takes advantage of lasting trends like Barbie has been a constant trend and has managed to stay relevant over time. Okay, has a conclusion that we don't have to get carried away by fads. We have to learn to identify long-term trends, and when something grows rapidly, we have to control its expansion to ensure its sustained success. Well, I will give you an example of the fashion, the fad. We have the low-rise jeans in the 2000s. It explodes quickly but dies quickly. Okay, and and this is fashion and now trend. Okay, in trend it builds slowly but transforms the market. Example, we have Barbie, which has been adapting for decades without losing relevance. Okay, and we have the other that is Elvis Presley. Okay, as I said, he limited his appearances, and this maintained the desire and mystery in the public. And and the same with Barbie, right? Barbie didn't appear everywhere at the same time. And as a conclusion to this law is that we don't have to saturate the market. We have to maintain a clear identity. We have to listen our audience and involve with them. And we have to invest our brand, not just our design. Okay, so we don't have to chase fads. We have to build trends, and a smart strategy doesn't get excited by rapid peaks, but by stable curves. And if our brand grows quickly, we have to be careful. We have to control the pace, think in long term, and create something people want to maintain, not just try. Then we have the other law, the last law, that is the law of resources. Okay, this law says that no matter how good or innovate a marketing idea is, if there isn't enough money to communicate it effectively, it won't gain attraction in the consumer's mind. Okay, this law emphasizes that marketing success depends not only on strategy or creativity, but also on having a sufficient budget to investing in marketing, in advertising, distribution, and execution. Okay, this law is very important because it says that money is essential for success, and because a great idea alone is not enough. And to get it off the ground, you need money to enter and stay in the minds of prospects. To get to get it off means no to get it off the ground means ponerlo en marcha. Okay. So yes, you need money to enter and stay in the minds of prospects. Without funding, even the best idea won't go far. An example of this is Apple, whose ideas was excellent, but it was like Mike Macula's capital that enabled its growth. Okay, then we have the marketing is not a magic bullet. Okay, the book said at this point that advertising is expensive and not a cheap way to get your product to market. Instead of relying solely on marketing, you need the financial resources to keep it going. Okay, and the big companies have more sources in general. Okay, large companies like Gamble or General Motors spend millions on marketing, and therefore small businesses face fierce competition where money can make a difference. Okay, and we have, for example, the battle between the book mentioned. Right? This is an example of the book that it mentions the battle between the AMM and bed products and Golden Cat. Okay, with in these cases, Golden Cat won because with more sources was able to launch its version of a Scoop Away and compete. And the other point is finding money. Okay, if you don't have enough money, you can find it in several ways. You can partner with investors, use your own funds, or even turn to franchising. And and also, right, the money makes marketing work. Successful marketing companies reinvest their profits rather than generating profits in the early years. It's very important this because marketing is a game of continuous investment, not saving. So companies have to reinvest, right, their profits. Um, to, h- um, so yes, you need the right financial resources to support it and keep it into the market, especially in an environment where competition is fierce. Okay, because those companies that secure financial support, like we have, for example, investors, strategy alliances, and they are more able to sustain campaigns or compete better. Okay, and also there are others that, with the lack of visibility and resources, um, usually fail. Okay, so as a conclusion of this law, having a good idea is the beginning. If you don't secure resources, you won't get past the startup stage. So marketing is an ongoing investment, not on a one-time expense. If you want to compete, you need more than creativity. You need capital and or allies to provide it. Okay, now I will give you, before closing this series, I want to give you a quick review of the 22 laws we covered. As we mentioned in other episodes, we talk about the leadership, okay, the love leadership category, the mind, perception, focus, exclusivity, ladder, duality, opposite, division, perspective, line extension, sacrifice, attribute, singularity, unpredictability, success, failure, sensationalism, acceleration, resources. So each of these laws show us that marketing isn't intuition, it's discipline. It's knowing when to act, when to back down, and above all, when to differentiate yourself. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this series. Thank you for joining me during this episode. Share it and recommend it and get ready because next I will bring you new tools, real life cases and tactics to help you grow. Okay, thank you and see you soon.